Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Defective Geeks live show. I am Diane, the Space Pirate Queen.
And I'm Giselle, also known as Jizzy B.
So, there's only two of us right now. We're not sure what's going on with our other peeps. But we always want to start in time. So, we're just going to start and see if they pop in eventually.
Yeah.
But, alright. Today we're doing it's going to be a quieter show. Our last couple of shows have been a little, fun and crazy. And today we decided to do another show and tell, and we're going to talk about books. So,
Old school books.
Old
Pretty
school books, a little book club meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Giselle, would you like to start?
Oh, certainly. So, in light of Reading Rainbow achieving its crowdfunding goal and exceeding it, and the ridiculous excitement I felt for this, I decided to talk about some of my favorite children's books. And so I was going through my library at home, and I found these three books. They are all by the same author, and they mean so much to me. And just looking at them just got me all teary-eyed because it reminded me of all the joyful memories. So these books, there's A Light in the Attic, and you can tell it's really old and dingy because I've had it since I was about 5 or so. Where the Sidewalk Ends, and then Falling Up. And they're all by Shel Silverstein. I don't know the proper way to pronounce that, so feel free to correct me, anyone, on how to pronounce that man's last name. But I love these books so much when I was a kid, and I love them even more so now because he's so creative with the little poems he writes and the stories, and he also does the illustrations. And I'm just gonna flip through some of these, they're these surreal, almost creepy, but wonderful depictions of the subject matter in his poems. And some of them are hilarious and just, here, let me try to find another one. Like this one, The Runners. It's people running from a lion. It's like motivation for running. But just the imagination of this man was so wonderful and inspired me so much when I was a kid. And even though most of the poems in his books are funny, there are a couple that just really hit you close to home because they're so thoughtful and meaningful. And this is the same guy, I believe, who also wrote The Giving Tree, for those of you who were traumatized with emotion reading The Giving Tree when you were a kid, like I was. And yeah, they're just such wonderful, imaginative, fun, whimsical poems, and the illustrations he attaches to them really emphasize just how fun they are. And really, it was so wonderful reading them as a kid, and even now going through them, it brings back so many wonderful memories. And they're just so joyful and meaning, and some of them are pretty meaningful. Like, they make you think. So they're not just fun; they're also smart. So,
what's your favorite?
Oh gosh, I can't remember the exact name of it, but I can tell it to you. It's one about a girl who has a crush on a deaf boy. And it's in the style of a poem, and he writes in the illustrations, it's part of the poem. And it's about the girl coming up to the deaf boy and saying, "I like you, how do you feel about me?" And when you're reading it, it's a drawing of him talking to her in sign language. And it says that every time she talks to him, his reaction would always be this, which is, I believe, if I'm doing the sign language correctly, it means "I love you." So, but she doesn't know that, and it's kind of bittersweet but thoughtful because every time she tries talking to him, he just does that in response to her, and she has no idea that he's saying "I love you" to her. And at one point, she's saying, like, "I really like you. How do you feel about me?" And he just does this over and over again. And the end of it is her saying, "Well, okay, I guess I'm going to go now." And she leaves. and it's bittersweet because she has no idea that he's been telling her the entire time, "I love you." So it's bittersweet and sad, but there's something beautiful about it. So it's lack of communication and love, and it's tragic, but it's beautiful, and it really hits you.
Yeah. Hi, Truby.
Hi, Truby.
Got it to work. Yay.
Yeah, I was kind of like, wait, how do I do this?
So we're talking about books, and Giselle went. Do you want to go next? TM?
No, you can go.
Alright, well, my first book, I've talked about this book on the blog and on the podcast, but it's Tim Hanley's Wonder Woman Unbound. I really enjoyed reading this book. The publishers or the PR team sent it to me to review, and usually when I get sent books, like if I'm not interested for the first, like when I'm reading the first 2 pages, I just kind of put it away because I don't have time. But this one is really good. Like, it's a really comprehensive look into Wonder Woman's history, and like kind of breaking down like pretty much everything about her and her character, and her creator especially is he delves into him for the first like almost half or 1/4 of the book, because to understand what Wonder Woman stands for, you have to understand where her creator is coming from. So I just really like this book because even though it's kind of historical and research based, it's a really easy book to read, and it's pretty entertaining, and it's more things you ever wanted to know about Wonder Woman if you're into her. And I highly recommend it if you want to know more about this character.
Awesome.
Cool too. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my first book. All right. TM, your turn.
Okay, my first book is Austenland by Shannon Hale. I actually read this book after I watched the film with Michelle, just to kind of, whenever I watch a film and there's a book based on it, I just like to read the book just to see what the differences are. And I'm also a huge Jane Austen fan, so the book itself is just about this woman who's in her 30s and is completely obsessed with particularly the BBC 1995 version of Pride and Prejudice. So she like takes this, well, her aunt gives this like trip to like Austenland, which is like an immersive, like not theme park per se, but experience. And it just goes through like how she kind of is obsessed with this, but she doesn't really want to like fully commit to this experience that she's having. So she kind of like has this, you know, like she's kind of like, I'm here and I know all this stuff about Austen, but I'm not really like, I'm kind of better than this. But she's like struggling with her love life. It's really easy to relate to. I mean, especially for me because I love Jane Austen and I'm also in my 30s and unmarried. But it's pretty funny because it just goes through like the various relationships that she's had and that kind of like fear that she has of like actually committing to somebody who might be what she wants to actually be with.
Right.
Yeah, but I do recommend it just as like fluff. I mean, it's nothing serious, but it's pretty funny, and the movie and the book are completely different. So if you like the movie, I think it's worth reading the book. The book was like bestseller, and they changed a lot. I think the writer just went in with the director and they just redid the whole script for the movie. So it's really worth like reading the book.
Yeah. So do you like the book better or the movie better, or are they both good?
I think I like the book not as much as the movie because the movie is much more lighthearted, but the book really goes into kind of like this area of like all of her relationships, because the book like they depict like all of her different boyfriends as you're reading the book, with all her experiences at Austenland. So like she has like her first boyfriend and how that ended badly, but it's basically like case by case of why these relationships don't work for her. So it's definitely more like adult in the book, like serious, versus like the really, really silly film. And the film's great, but the book is definitely worth reading if you just kind of like are into that kind of like breakdown of relationships and, you know, kind of knowing what you really want in life.
Yeah. Cool.
That's my first book.
Yay!
So, do you have other books, or was that all?
Oh, I thought we were just doing one at a time.
Yeah, I kind of, since they're all the same author, I was like, I'll just talk about them all. I guess what I can do is find another poem. If you guys want to like talk about your other books, I can find another one to read and show to the class.
I'll do my second book. This one, Nancy gave this to me. It's called Princess Behaving Badly by Linda Rodriguez Macroby. It's real stories from history without the fairy tale endings. So I haven't finished this book, but this book came up because there was that whole movement online for a while where it was like, you know, kind of breaking down the princess status of girls, you know, and there was a bunch of articles coming out, and Nancy was like, oh, you need to read this book that I'm reading right now. So she gave it to me for my birthday earlier this year, and it's pretty funny. I like the writer style because, you know, it's historical and research based too, but she kind of makes it funny when she's telling the stories, and yeah, she just pretty much goes through all these different princesses or royalty type women in history and kind of talks about like their real life and how some of them are not very ladylike and will kill things to get, you know, kind of like Cersei's.
A Cersei princess, okay.
Where they'll kill to, you know, move up in royalty, or, you know, kill their husbands if they don't like them, but there's also very heroic princesses in this book, like who, you know, save a whole country or like fight in a war and things like that. So it's very cool. Like I like that it kind of breaks down that princess myth that, you know, not that I have anything against the Disney stuff, but like that kind of like outlook on princesses, like delicate little flowers, but
like waiting to be saved and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's cool that we can maybe change the meaning of being a princess to something more maybe badass, or can realize that women are also kind of like, you know, we're not just delicate little flowers waiting to be saved, and this book shows throughout history the type of women that you don't want to mess with, who were princesses, you know. So I recommend it for all you ladies out there, and for you boys too, if you're interested in history and what real princesses are like.
Awesome.
Did you find a poem, Giselle?
Yes. Okay, so this is another poem that's can be funny and silly, but there's also a little bit of bittersweet in there. So this one's called Best Mask. This is the illustration attached to it. I love the style of his illustrations because they're almost a little crude, but they're really entertaining nonetheless. I don't know, did you guys ever read any Shel Silverstein when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yay! Awesome.
That Giving Tree was really like traumatic.
Exactly! Yes!
It was like really sad because it was like, oh, I have this great relationship with this child, and the child just like keeps taking and taking, and then like nothing, and then at the end the dude's just like, oh, I'm back to sit on you, and you're like, wait, what's the moral? Like,
right.
Nothing
I think the moral is that it's an abusive relationship.
Right?
I mean, that is a physically and emotionally abusive relationship. So, anyway, something a little more lighthearted. The Best Mask. So, story time. They just had a contest for scariest mask, and I was the wild and daring one who won the contest for scariest mask, and sob, I'm not even wearing one.
Aww, sad.
Right? But it's funny, but a little sad, and that's the thing with Shel Silverstein. There's always, with some of them, there's a little bit of sadness there, but I think as a, you know, now that's what I love so much about it, and as a kid, I don't think I would have been able to articulate as to what it was about his work that attracted me to it, but I think it's because there's that little bit of sadness in there.
I feel like in real life, a lot of people who like cosplay or go to convention can kind of relate to it. Like if you go to a convention and you're not cosplaying and someone's like, oh, who are you supposed to be? And it's like, I'm not wearing a costume right now. Just being myself.
Everyday life.
That's kind of the real life equivalent for me.
Right.
Oh man. I feel like you didn't have to be at a convention. You just have to like dress weird or like with colored hair. Like,
They're like,
"Who
who are you?
Why do you want to dress differently from other people? You must be in a costume or a show of some sort. Alright. Do you have a second book, Trumi?
Yes, I do. It is called If Cats Could Talk. This is not heavy reading, but I did read it recently.
It sounds complicated.
Trumi, could you please elaborate? I'm a little confused.
So it's called If Cats Could Talk, the meaning of meow. And there's no author here. However, it has these little sayings next to these awesome photos. You guys can see.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the
It
kids.
says, no matter what the frequency, there's always time to dial in a little relaxation.
Oh.
Ew. It has a lot of life lessons to teach you, and I highly recommend this book. I think everybody needs to read this book.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of lessons to learn from cats. And
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
What's the biggest lesson you learned from reading this book, Trumi?
This very last one, because it says, it isn't the size of the human, it is the size of the love within the human.
Oh,
Look how deep that is.
that is
Oh.
very deep. All go hug our cats right now.
Only intelligent reading for me. This is what I think all intellectuals should be reading.
Thank you
I-
very much from that book.
I think everybody needs this book.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then the
don't-
world will be a little better.
I don't even remember where I got this. I think I got it all at Barnes & Noble's before they closed down for like 25%.
Aww.
From the bargain price section.
Hey man, it was worth it.
I love it.
Awesome.
Mhm.
But,
Oh, I found that it's called Deaf Donald, the one I talked about initially with the
okay.
boy who does the. So if you want something that's going to be another emotionally traumatizing piece of work, just read Deaf Donald from A Light in the Attic, because it's about a girl who just keeps telling him that she likes him, and he keeps telling her that I love you, but they don't understand each other,
I feel like that's a metaphor for a lot of relationships.
right? See,
Yeah.
yeah, so obviously the Giving Tree was a metaphor for children, like, if your relationship resembles this in any way, end it now.
When I read that, it made me feel super guilty for not appreciating my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that was the intention of the Giving Tree, you know? Make you realize people in your life.
Make children realize that they're selfish little brats.
Probably. I refuse to believe that about myself as a child.
How is that? You know what I understand? How is that children's reading? That's really depressing, that Giving Tree. It's super depressing.
Yeah, well, because it's funny because my parents never bought it for me. Because that's what my mom thought. She read it and went, I'm not going to give this to my child. What is this? But it was read to me at school because, you know, every classroom, at least for our generation, read The Giving Tree in school. And I remember in class just being like, with like tears coming down my face. Like, why is it raining on my face? I don't understand this feeling.
What is this new feeling of
It's called guilt. Guilt.
you realize the world doesn't revolve around you.
Man.
That is
You know what else is like a book that like you read as you guys probably read this as like I read in like 5th grade or my teacher read it to us, but like those like scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
My teacher would read that to us, it scared the shit out of me.
I own those. I should have brought them. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah,
Community.
I totally own those, and those are another set of books with intricate illustrations that really add to the stories.
Yeah. I think they're making a movie out of them or something. I saw something like that.
Yeah, I heard about that. I wonder how that would go down. Which
And
stories?
it's all like kind of like short little stories.
Yeah, like, is it going to be like, Are You Afraid of the Dark, like vignettes or something?
It would be
or-
cooler if they did a TV show. Of
Yeah,
all.
like what is it? That Tales from the Crypt. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like a Twilight Zone kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, those stories. I just remember like going like because it's like rainy days or my teacher would read it. So I just remember like just kind of be like fucked the entire day. Like, oh no, what do I do now? I'm terrified.
Now I cannot sleep. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, well, I guess that wraps up our show. Books, read them, enjoy them.
Yes, go back to your childhood. Also, read wonderful childhood books.
Learn things from cats. Learn things from Wonder Woman and princesses.
Mm-hmm.
Learn things from childhood books that traumatize you.
Yes,
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, why did you pick such sad books?
I didn't realize that at the time. I just thought I liked these as a child.
Good thing Jeremy bought the cat book. To
Yeah,
like.
thank
I
you.
bought very like fluff books. Like
I know. Thank you for that. I appreciate the lighthearted, nice fun.
it's just stuff that I've read recently. 'Cause, you know, as an adult, I don't have much time to read.
Yeah, right? So, yes, thank you guys for watching. Our next live show will be 2 Mondays from now, which I believe is June 16th, and we'll probably do something a little more crazy for that one. And hopefully Michelle will be back. She was off eating things for her wedding, tasting food. So that's more important than this. And I think Valerie forgot. Who knows
Yeah.
where she is? She's all fluttering around like Valerie flutters around. So we'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Yeah.